Well, our society is increasingly obsessed with physical appearance. We were discussing that in our water cooler buzz a few minutes ago. That obsession leaves more and more people striving for unrealistic goals to achieve perfection, and that result has left something like 8 million people suffering from eating disorders. Here's another sobering statistic. 50% of girls between the ages of 11 and 13 see themselves as overweight. So how did we get here, and how do we get so off track? How do we lose the basic understanding of reality? And more importantly, frankly, what can be done? We have a group of doctors trying to answer that very question in a 6-episode television series on E! Network. It's called What's Eating You? This series chronicles the extreme challenges of women and men whose lives are at risk as they battle anorexia, bulimia, and all sorts of unusual food habits to what many of us might seem strange. Joining us today, the stars, two of the stars of this show. I want to introduce you to Dr. Jordana Mansbacher, a licensed psychotherapist with specialties in the treatment of eating disorders. And next to her is one of her patients on the show, Melissa DeHart, a 35-year-old former news reporter. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Melissa, I've seen a little bit of video, but for the people that don't know about you, tell us your story briefly.
Well, you know, it would take forever and a day for me to tell you my whole story, which is why you'll have to kind of tune into What's Eating You and kind of, you know, really see the depth of what my disorder entailed. But 5 years ago, I was at probably the rock bottom of it. And when I say rock bottom, just compromised health-wise, mentally, emotionally.
We're seeing some video. How much were you weighing at the bottom, if you will?
My lowest weight was 54 pounds, and I'm 5'6".
Melissa, how did you survive?
I don't know. sheer fierce and feist and,
were you
and will.
Hospitalized?
Several times, yes.
And in fact, we've talked about, and Dr. Mansbacher,
Yes.
you know about her case.
Yes.
I mean, you had a stroke.
When you are that low, you go through a refeeding syndrome, and you have to be very careful when you're that low weight with the refeeding syndrome, because once you start putting nutrients and electrolytes and carbohydrates back into the body,
it's a shock to the body.
It's a shock to the body. So the body, the cells have shrunk so much that they will actually expand, and you're at higher risk for heart attack and stroke.
Now, you're up to a healthier weight, but you still have some serious issues that you're dealing with. Tell us about the sweetener.
Well, yeah, I wish that I kind of understand it myself. One of the reasons I wanted to go on the show was because I was still struggling with my sweetener habit. It really developed when I was going through the throes of my bulimia. Now, my bulimia was even at very active, even when I was 54 pounds. It was up to, you know, two huge binges and purges a day, up to, you know, 50, 60,000 calories.
When did this all start? How old were you when you started doing this?
I was about 17.
Did something happen in your life to trigger that?
You know, I don't know if there was anything that so much. I say there's a lot of things that loads the gun. What triggers it? You know, I don't know. I think that a lot of it had to do with my upbringing, as far as having a physical appearance was very you know, stressed in my family, and puberty had a lot to do with it, and putting on that, you know, the weight that I didn't have pre-adolescence.
Dr. Mansbacher, she talks about the fact that you get her to this point where she's healthier, but you're still dealing with underlying issues, and it's hard to pinpoint. Is that the case with most of the people that you see?
Absolutely. Eating disorders is a symptom. Underneath the eating disorder is usually depression, anxiety, the need for perfection. 50% of our cases have some sexual trauma, abuse in their history, which leads to the eating disorder. And eating disorder is a coping skill. It's on top of other psychological problems. So the goal in therapy is not only do we want to maintain or stabilize somebody's weight at a healthy weight, but then the hard work of therapy is to figure out what the etiology of this disorder is for that particular person, and focus on that.
You've made great progress, but you're still battling this. Is her condition curable?
I wouldn't say it's curable, because eating disorders have the highest mortality rate of any mental disorder. I think there is remission and there's maintenance, but you have to eat to live. So you're constantly going to be struggling the rest of your life with thoughts and the behaviors. So I wouldn't call it a complete curable disease.
Melissa, we're showing some video of you in your underwear. You use padding to fill out your figure. You still aren't happy with your body today. What do you think when you see yourself, when you see your body? What goes through your mind?
Well, you know, when I see, you know, videos of the old footage of me when I was like at 54 pounds, that's very disturbing. But, you know, as I moved on, you know, there still wasn't a lot with my body that I was, you know, pleased with. So I'm always trying to make it look better some way, somehow, you know, and not so much with my food and with the scale, but, you know, what I did to my body took havoc on me physically. And so it's kind of like having to pick up all the pieces afterwards and kind of trying to now figure out who I am without that eating disorder stigma. And, you know, I do agree with what Dr. Mansbacher said about how it is not, you know, totally curable, whatever. I truly, honestly, in my heart, though, believe that it is possible to get to a point where you can actually be happy with yourself. And, you know, one of the reasons I did the show, What's Eating You, was because I wasn't at that point, and through the process of the 6 weeks and working with Dr. Mansbacher and kind of figuring out who Melissa is without it, that's been a new step. And I'm proud to say that everything that you will see on the show and everything that I worked for and all of the goals that I wanted to accomplish, I not only managed to accomplish them, but I have up to this point been able to keep that up.
What's Eating You airs at 10 p.m. tonight on the E! Channel. We're very proud of you, Melissa. It's a very brave voyage you're going on. Thank you for sharing it with us. Dr. Mansbacher, keep up the great work. There's so many girls and young men out there that need your help. Thanks so much to the both of you. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.